was happy again, right? But I had also decided that 2 children was all I could handle. I mean, my mom was awesome, and being a child in a huge family was the best, but I obviously was not cut out for motherhood. And so even though I was delivered from that depression and I had joy in my life again and I was enjoying being a mom, I thought, this is not my calling, you know. I can't do this. I'm not good at it. It's way harder to be a mom than it is to be a child in a large family. And so then I wasn't, you know, it never seemed like I was very fertile. It was, you know, I had to wait half a year or more of trying to conceive. It's not like I was infertile, but obviously. But anyway, so I wasn't super careful. And then I ended up pregnant again with my third child. And so it wasn't like I didn't want to be pregnant, but I was scared because I was like, you know, I feel like God really delivered me from this depression, but here I am going to be pregnant again. And what if I go back into it? It was like a postpartum thing, and I just can't, you know, I mean, things are finally good and they're going to be really bad again, but they weren't. It was like I was just totally, you know, happy. The whole pregnancy, the delivery, the raising the baby, having a baby in the house, I just really felt like it was wonderful. I had this beautiful family, and I'm like, okay, this is it. You know, God got me over the hump. We can do this. And then I got sick after Samuel was born, my third child, and my health was poor, and I could not conceive. And so 4 years went by, and I thought, this is as big as my family gets. And you know, it had been my dream to have a big family. I was 30 years old when Samuel was born already. I guess I'm not going to be able to have that big family, but I really loved the family that God had given me. So, you know, it was a little disappointing. Like I felt like I finally got it together, and then, no, I didn't really, because my body was not capable of it. But then I conceived again, and I had Levi. But the pregnancy was really, really hard. I was in my 30s, and my legs just got so bad with varicose veins. I had to keep thick stockings on all the time. I had a lot of morning sickness, and it was pretty difficult. It was a pretty difficult pregnancy, but there was a lot of joy in it too, and I was so happy when he was born. But then I was like, well, this is probably should be my last pregnancy, right? Because I didn't, you know, it was a hard pregnancy, and I felt like, you know, maybe my health wasn't up to it. I wanted to be fair to the children I already had, right? It's not like I had to have a big family, and I didn't think there would be much issue with it because, like I said, it wasn't that difficult for me not to conceive. However, surprise! I got pregnant again really quickly, actually. They were a little bit less than 2 years apart, which I had never gotten pregnant while I was nursing before. I mean, I didn't even think I could do that, and I could. I did, and I was so sick. Oh my gosh. I mean, I was like in the bed sick. My oldest daughter, you, Tabitha, you were what, 10 years old, I think, maybe 9, and you were having to fix meals and take care of the children, and I was on the couch sick, so sick, and my legs were just terrible. I had varicose veins all over, and it was just a really difficult time physically, but not emotionally, because, I mean, once I'm not gonna lie, the first 6 months of being dog sick were not like a breeze emotionally, but I wasn't in despondency. I just was like, oh my God, is this ever gonna end? But it did in the last few months, although my legs were very painful and I had to wear the big stockings again. I had a beautiful, beautiful experience of birth. I never had any difficulties or dangerous times when I was delivering my babies, and they were easy. And it was a worship, and I was so in love with this little baby girl that Yahuwah sent me, that God sent me. It was just beautiful, and I loved it, and I loved her. And I was 35 years old, and I got pregnant again and had my sixth child when I was 36, and I could not believe it. It was like, instead of, you're supposed to be the most fertile in your 20s or your late teens to early 20s, and then fertility declines. It was like I was a late bloomer. And I was just like, I couldn't wink at my husband without getting pregnant in my 30s, apparently. And so I was pregnant, and I was sick as a dog. Oh my gosh. Again, I mean, it was like every pregnancy was worse. My legs were terrible, and I was afraid people would be like, "Is that your grandchild?" And yeah, it was a very difficult pregnancy, and it was a very wonderful life. And so we figured out after 6 that we could stop that from happening. And we really tried, but it wasn't because I didn't want any more children. I could have had so many children and loved them so much. They're so wonderful. It was only because the pregnancies were so difficult, I didn't feel like it was fair to the children that I had already to be so incapable of being a mother while I was pregnant for the first 6 months of just, being completely sick and miserable. So I just love having my children. My last 3 that I didn't think I would have, that I had in my 30s, which I hadn't thought that I would be having babies, after 35 for sure. And just didn't think about it, and it was such a blessing. I mean, my 3 oldest ones are out of the house now. I have 3 teenagers in the house, and my life would be so incomplete without them. I just love them. They are like, the thing that I really wanted in the beginning, a big family, just the joy of a loving, happy family with a lot of children and people to love on. I'm a grandma now, and I'm still a mom. I still have children in the house. It's beautiful. I love it. And it was something I couldn't do by myself. I was a total failure at it. When I began my journey of motherhood, I thought I could never do this. This is, I am not a natural mother. I am an unnatural mother. And I can't, do it. And it just, so here I am 26 years later, and, I do have a pretty big family, 6 children, and it was a journey and a lot of ups and downs, and it's not like everything was perfect and happy and all the time, but it was the fulfillment of a lifelong dream, and it's really beautiful. And I wouldn't trade any of my children for anything. I love having them. They are the biggest blessing in my life. And I have not been the perfect mother, and I have not been able to breeze through motherhood, and my children don't always tell me that I'm the best person in the world, and they don't always appreciate me. Shocking. In fact, they've often told me that they hate me and they wish that they were not my children when they're really mad. I cried the first few times. Now I just laughed with the last few. Because, it's just emotion. And underneath the emotion of the anger of the moment, there's all that love and the joy of being a family. And I'm just so thankful to God for doing that for me.